Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll be putting together the luggage tag box from Tonic Studios. There's actually two ways that the instructions describe putting together this luggage tag box, and I'll show you both of those variations. This is a huge die set. There are 45 dies in this set, and only a few of them are for the box construction itself. The rest are really fun decorative mats and layers that you can add to the top and sides of the box, and there are a lot of really cute tag dies that you can use outside of this project as well. And the die set does come with full instructions, so if you just open up that insert, you'll see instructions with graphics that show you how to assemble both styles. So for this first one, this will have a box bottom, which I've die cut in silver, and a box top that will be completely separate from one another. You can die cut some mats and layers to decorate the sides of your box if you want, but I'm keeping it pretty simple for these. I'll just have a couple of really simple mats and layers. There's also a die to cut a belly band to keep your box closed, and of course some additional tags. I'm going to start off by adding this decorative panel to the top of the box, and there are these little additional dies that you can layer onto your tag to decorate it. In fact, there's a pocket that you can actually use on your box, or I think it would be kind of fun as pockets for mini albums as well, and there are mats and layers to decorate that little pocket. This little circular sort of verso die is swappable, so you can use it by itself like I am here to sort of make it look like it's the hole at the top of my tag, or you can use it along with the tag, the smaller tag that is included in the set. And then there's also some decorative dies for mats and layers for the belly band as well. I've also die cut a few options for this scallop circle tag. I'll figure out how I want to assemble that, but I'll show you how the main construction of the box is. So all of the score lines are debossed for you when you run it through the die cutting machine, so all you need to do is just fold along all of those lines, and it's going to be a mountain fold for all of them. And when you glue them together, you just want to make sure that you are butting up the cut edge from one side with the scored edge from the other, so you get a nice corner that is a nice 90 degrees there. So I'm just going to go all the way around. I like to use liquid glue because it's going to be nice and strong and permanent. It does, especially working on pearlescent paper like I am, it does present a little bit of a challenge when you first put it down. Even though I'm using a fairly quick grabbing glue, the pearlescent paper, because it's coated, does have a more slick surface, so it takes just a little bit longer to grab, and so you do have to hold it for a few seconds just to make sure that it is set. It may not be completely dry, but you'll have to hold it for a little bit just to make sure that it'll hold. If you didn't want to use a liquid glue, you could use double-sided adhesive tape. I would recommend something strong though. It really depends on what you're going to be putting into the box and how much weight you expect to be inside, but a score tape would be good, red line tape would be good as well. And this little piece here is sort of like a little tag, a little bit of a little sort of holder almost, so you can put a little ribbon through there, or if people wanted, they could even kind of loop this through and hang it on their Christmas tree too. It could be a little bit of an ornament. And I've die cut it twice so that it has a nice professional edge on the front and the back, but you could certainly just use one layer if you wanted. And this die set is really cute because it does come with a nice variety of dies. And one thing to keep in mind though is that some dies that look decorative are your typical verso die, meaning they do not have an outer cutting edge. Some dies that are decorative, like the sentiment here, actually does have its outside cutting edge. So I would just look at your dies a little bit carefully to see whether or not they have an outside cutting edge. Because whenever I see a decorative die, I almost always assume that it does not have its outer or inner cutting edge, but in this case, you'll get a mix of the two. And there have been a couple of occasions where by default, I've die cut the decorative die along with what looks like an outside cutting edge, only to find that that decorative die came with its own outside cutting edge. So just something to bear in mind. And so that's pretty much this box complete. You can see how everything's sized perfectly. The belly band's perfect, the lid is perfect, and what I'm going to end up doing, and you'll see it at the end, is I'm going to put some tags and have that be the gift that is inside the box. This is the second style of box that you can create, and I'm going to first work on this decorative layer. And again, what I'm applying the dotty tape to, that die does cut exactly what you see. So it does have the outside and inside cutting edge for this piece here. And even though I did put the dotty tape runner, I'm still going to dot a little bit of liquid adhesive just to really make sure that it's well stuck on here. And these little pieces here are just decorative pieces to put at the opening of the box. And in the instructions that come with the die set, it only really shows using one. However, I kind of like the look of using two of them, and I'll show you a comparison of 1 versus 2 at the end of the video, because I did make another one of these boxes where I just followed strictly the Tonic Studios instructions and just had the one. Now with this piece here, it's going to create a hexagonal tube-like piece. And actually what you want to do, or at least what I've done, is instead of mountain folding the score lines, I've actually valley folded them. So the pretty side of the paper is actually on the inside of the tube. And the reason for that is because when this tube gets connected to your box, the top and bottom portions where those little arc pieces are, those are going to fold down as tabs. And so you want the pretty side showing once those pieces are folded down. And you'll see that in a little bit more detail when we get to that step. Here I'm just assembling my tag and my belly band. The belly band I'm putting together exactly the same way as I did the previous one. This is going to be a two-tone belly band. One of the things that you do want to make sure of, and it's a little bit easier to see with this one, is that whatever is going to be your top or on the front of the box, you want that to fold down and be the outside edge along the sides. That way you get a really nice clean folded edge as you look at it from the top. And so you'll see here I'm putting glue on the inside of that side panel, and that way you see the rounded edge of the fold as opposed to seeing the raw cut edge from the back of the belly band. So it just helps to give you like a cleaner finish. Now with this style box, you want to cut two pieces of what was the box bottom on the first version. And one will serve as the top and the other will serve as the bottom of the box. And with the top portion, you do want to add both that little hexagonal aperture that you see at the top, as well as the die that will cut the door flap to open the box itself. So what I'm going to do here is I've already got double-sided adhesive on all of my glue tabs, and I find that especially with this one, I definitely want to use a combination of both the dry adhesive as well as the liquid adhesive, because the dry adhesive is going to give me an instant stick and an instant grab, whereas the liquid adhesive will be a nice permanent grab. Now the difference when you're gluing these tabs together is that you don't want to go exactly flush, so you want to leave yourself just a sliver of a gap where the straight edge of one side meets up with the folded edge of the other. And the reason to leave that little gap, but when you're constructing or gluing together the top of the box, is because these two pieces were die cut from the same die, and so they're exactly the same size. But we need for that top piece to actually fit over this bottom piece. So on the bottom piece, I am putting the sides, attaching the tabs so that they're nice and flush. So I've got the cut edge of one right up against the scored edge or folded edge of the other side of the glue tab, and that is going to create a nice box. But on the lid, because it was attached so that there's just a little bit of a gap, that will make it easier for you to fit the top right over the bottom piece or the bottom section of the box. The other thing that I've already gone ahead and done in advance is I've put a little bit of double-sided adhesive tape all along the bottom edge of the top of the box, and you'll see in a second why that's useful. Before we get there though, I'm going to actually attach these decorative pieces to the opening of the box. And don't do what I'm doing here, because I actually applied the double-sided adhesive on the wrong side. You actually want to apply this adhesive on the top or the pretty side of the box. I'm just so used to applying adhesive on the back of pieces, but then I realized that the way this gets attached, because it's getting attached from the bottom or the inside of the lid, you actually need to place your adhesive on the pretty side or the top of that decorative panel. And so again, I'm going to use a combination of dry double-sided adhesive tape and liquid tape. And here's where I realized, oh wait, I put the double-sided adhesive on the wrong side. So all I'm doing is, just because I didn't burnish very hard, I was able to just roll that tape right off and just get some new tape on there. And I'm using 1/8 inch double-sided adhesive tape here, because you don't really have that much space to apply this. And so you can see here, I'm looking at this from the inside of that top portion of the box. And I'll just score that, make sure it's a nice fit, and then I'm going to dry fit the top portion just to make sure that none of that decorative piece is visible through that hexagonal aperture. Because remember, that tube piece that we created needs to fit through that aperture, and so we don't want anything that's going to creep over into that aperture space, because then the tube will be then it will be obstructing the tube, which needs to go clear through from the top all the way through to the bottom. And these two pieces they're actually perfectly sized to fit. So I think, even though the instructions in the die set only have you putting one piece on that bottom portion that I already placed, they did design this so that you can use both, it seems, because this is a perfect fit. You just have to make sure that you're really hugging the edges. There's not a lot of kind of free space to play with, but it will fit. So I've already got my double-sided dry adhesive. I'm just going to run a bead of liquid glue, and I'm not putting too much because you don't need a lot to make it stick, but also I just don't want it to ooze everywhere. And I'm definitely pushing these two pieces up right against each other, and you can see that at the very top there, it comes right to the bottom edge of that hexagonal aperture. The next piece that I'll attach is this little tab here, which will make it a little bit easier for whoever receives this box to have something to grab onto in order to open this little flip door here. And you can just apply that to the bottom. If you want, you can decorate the bottom of the flap just to clean up that edge, but I didn't do that. And I'm just going to keep the decorations for this box pretty simple. Just going to add a fun little tag that says "Open Me," and then they'll pretty much be it in terms of decorations. I did die cut using the Verso dies the sides of the box, so you can see there's a little bit of that design along the three straight sides of the box. And one of the Verso dies that you can use to decorate that long side does say happy birthday on it. So if you wanted to create a box to give a birthday gift, that would be the perfect sentiment to add to this. Otherwise, there aren't really any other sentiments, and the decorative designs are pretty general, so you could really use it all year round. And some of these boxes that I'm creating are, if you haven't already guessed, more towards the holiday Christmas theme, because I want to give away some tag sets as Christmas gifts. So as I mentioned earlier, I did run some lines of dry double-sided adhesive tape right along the bottom edge of all of these sides, but I'm going to run liquid adhesive along the entire panel on all sides. And ultimately what we're going to be doing is gluing this top portion of the box to the bottom portion. And you do want to run some liquid adhesive right over your dry adhesive. That way you can slide this over the bottom. And it's going to be a little bit hard to burnish, but try as best you can to burnish the sides and the bottom of the box. And having that dry adhesive right up against the edge really helps to ensure that you don't have a gap where the two the top and the bottom pieces are glued together. So here's that hexagonal piece. I'm going to pinch one end just to make it a little bit easier to feed those tabs through. And you want it to go right through to the bottom. And it creates this pretty little kind of flower through the top of this, and it's just really unique. I've never seen anything like this or constructed anything like this, so I think it's rather cool. And again, I used a combination of the dry dotty adhesive, and I'm just putting some liquid adhesive on as well, just a little bit, a couple dots. And I am letting it dry the liquid adhesive a little bit so that it gets a little bit tacky and will grab a little faster before I press it down. But because this box is hollow, it is a little bit difficult to really get a good burnish. You don't want to push so hard in that you cave in your box, which I did a little bit at the bottom here. But if you're using liquid adhesive like I am, it can be a little bit... you just have to be a little bit patient and really hold that those tabs down, especially if you are using pearlescent paper like I am here as well, since that does have a coating and is a little bit of a more slick surface. I'm trying not to bend this door flap too aggressively because I do want it to feel crisp and new and never before opened. So you can probably get that opening a little bit wider if you wanted to open that more aggressively. But the last step here is to attach my belly band, and I do like to attach the final edge of the belly band when it's wrapped around the box itself. That way you can be sure that it's the exact right size. So here's a final look at the boxes that I made in this video, as well as one that I made previously. And so you can see here, I'll show you the difference in look between using one versus two of those decorative pieces on the inside of your box. So here's the first one I made where I only used one and I only placed it at the bottom. It definitely makes the opening larger, so I guess it really just depends on what you plan to put into the box. And they both look nice. I just happen to like the look better of having that decorative border fully around the opening. And that'll just mean that whatever I put into here needs to be a little bit smaller. So maybe it's going to be some candy bits or something like that. But here on the first one, the other difference is I didn't use the double-sided adhesive along the bottom edge of that top piece of the box, and you could see there was a little bit of a gap where I just couldn't get the liquid adhesive to grab and hold. I might try to go back and see if I can fix that, but that's where using the double-sided dry adhesive is really nice. And then this is the first box that I made and the tags that I made to go with it. So here I used the sentiments from the Tonic Studios kit number, I think it was 45. It was Santa's sentiments, whichever number it happened to be. And so I made some of those sentiments up, but I did use the tag die that came in this tag set. And so you can see that's the exact same tag shape that I used to decorate the top of the box. And then I just used the We Are Memory Keepers Big Bite, or if you have a crocodile, you can use that as well to punch the hole and insert grommets at the top. So those are my luggage tag boxes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and sharing, and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to get a notification whenever I post new videos to my channel. Thanks so much, and until my next video, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!